What is up, everybody? I'm NoLucksGiven, and welcome to Waddle Week. Today, we are going to be taking a look at this week's namesake, Waddle itself. Hisself, herself, I'm not sure, but either way, this hero is a total badass, and still a total badass despite the recent nerfs. Today, we are going to be looking at 3 different Waddle games because Waddle can do so many different and powerful things that I can't just summarize all of that in one game. So this first game, we're going to be taking a look at some Kitty Cut Person action, generating a bunch of additional gold from Kitty Cut Purse early on, and using that to do some absolutely insane things. And that is definitely an angle that Waddle still has at its disposal that is a ton of fun. We are going to take a ton of damage from the Fates, but then we're going to get to pick up an upgraded Kitty Cut Person. I think I'm going to pause it here, because this treasure selection, these are like the 3 best treasures that you could potentially ask for. There's other good tier 2 treasures as well, but Skip's Puzzle Rune is just so good on Waddle because of your ability to churn through treasures. Spinning Wheel, also very good because an additional +1 gold this early on in the game is like a Share Bear or Cursed King hero power without the drawback, and in addition to your Waddle hero power. So that can be extremely strong. And then we also have Rune Stones, which could potentially allow you to do some silly things like find a tier 5 treasure off of Blind Mouse, or find a tier 3 treasure off of a typical animal double, which could potentially be a Crystal Ball. You know, I'm always trying to force Crystal Ball, especially on Waddle. And there's a few ways to force Crystal Ball. I think that Spinning Wheel or Skip's Puzzle Rune are the better pickups here. Honestly, Spinning Wheel probably the best one, but it's hard to deny the power of the Puzzle Rune. So that is what I'm gonna go for. We already have enough gold generation out of our Kitty Cut Purses, so we will just pick up the Puzzle Rune and try to grab some additional treasures. We are able to get the Slay from our first Kitty Cut Purse, so we'll have 2 bonus gold on this turn. That's going to allow us to pick up a Blind Mouse in addition to some other characters here. I'll pick up a 4/4 Crafty, a Mad Mim to support both of my Kitty Cut Purse, and then a Beauty's Influence also to support that upgraded Kitty Cut Purse in position 1. And one of the things that I didn't get to talk about last turn for a second was I went for the Baby Root plus the Shard of the Ice Queen. And the main reason that I did that is because I wanted to, that's almost always going to transform into an animal. There's also Labyrinth Minotaur and Mad Mim, both of which I wouldn't have been unhappy to see. As you can see, we picked up a Mad Mim this turn. Also, Beauty's Influence doing some nice work there in keeping my Kitty Cut Purse alive. So we've got 3 bonus gold this turn, and we could put that bonus gold into a Wish Upon a Star, but we've got enough XP going right now with the Skip's Puzzle Rune. I think our best bet is to try to generate excess gold right now. And this is a little bit spicy of a play, but I think the play here is to sell Crafty and actually just play 2 prized pigs. We're going to play a frontline prized pig this turn. If it winds up dying, that's okay. It's still better to play the 3/6 than to play the 2/2 Blind Mouse. And then I actually move some things around. I forgot that I did this. I think I'm going to move it back. I don't imagine that I keep that. Yeah. We're just going to play a frontline prized pig, try to get the Slay on the Kitty Cut Purse, try to just play a strong board, and believe it or not, we actually have both prized pigs survive here. We get extremely lucky with this combat RNG, get both of the prized pigs survive, both of those Kitty Cut Purse slaying as well, so we had 7 bonus gold this turn, 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 1. Then we also complete a triple or double up of a golden chicken. That is going to be 2 more additional gold this turn, 3 more if you count that secret stash instead of skipping on the treasure. And then speaking of skip, we are going to trade our skip's puzzle rune for that spinning wheel that I thought would be so good. So really just insane game here. We are also picking up the locked chest, which is a potential way to grab a crystal ball or a treasure map or something fun like that. And then I'm gonna lock onto this prize pig plus Wicked Witch, which should be really strong for us next turn. We also have a bearded vulture, which when we are playing Wonder Waddle is going to be strong enough in its own right. And then we also have like an insane front line, so we don't really even need the bearded vulture. That could have been a prized pig and we would have been okay this turn. But absolutely insane stuff. We're gonna triple the prized pig, and then I'm gonna find treasure map. And while I like treasure map, I kind of want to try to find crystal ball this game. I am going to pick up the ancient sarcophagus because we just have so many evil characters that I figured that would be worth going for. And then I wind up tripling the Wicked Witch and seeing another treasure map. And these treasure maps are definitely good, especially when you have access to Blind Mouse on Wonder Waddle. But I'm trying to do something a little bit different here. Basically, I mean, partially because this is Wonder Waddle week, I wanted to see how often I could force Crystal Ball, and it's going to be easier to find Crystal Ball without the treasure map, because that could mean that, like, if we don't complete another treasure, then we wind up cracking open the locked chest and grabbing a tier 5 treasure, which isn't exactly what I want. I don't know, kind of just playing it a little bit silly, but I think that part of the fun of Wonder Waddle is you can afford to play a little bit silly because the hero is just so powerful. We don't get any prized pig gold out of that combat, but we do get 3 gold from our kitty cup purse and then our spinning wheel. And we're going to use that extra gold to pick up another bearded vulture. And that should, again, just allow us to continue to be extremely strong. When I triple the bearded vulture, I'm going to take the forking rod. I do consider the Sky Castle, which is a fun way to also pretend to be the old Wonder Waddle, but I thought it was too late in the game at this point. We're already level 5, so didn't really see the need for that. I'll pick up a Hermes Magic Beans. And you can see here, I am really counting on finding that crystal ball out of this lock chest, locking onto an Aeon, also locking onto a Blind Mouse. Now out of the lock chest, we could potentially find a Merlin's Hat, and out of the Blind Mouse, we could potentially find a Moonsong Horn as ways to make our spells cheaper and work with this forking rod that we've picked up. And Aeon could also do some nice work alongside that. We'll win thanks to the bearded vulture and take out this horde dragon, and then we find the crystal ball. You know, why not? No luck's given there, baby. We'll pick that up, then we'll also pick up the Blind Mouse. Don't find a great treasure to go along with that, but I am going to take Ring of Rage, now 3 of Swords. Main reason for that being that just throws a little bit of extra attack onto Aeon and will potentially allow it to slay. But speaking of slay, let's also pick up a Polywoggle and potentially try to slay with that, grab an upgraded tier 6 character. Could be fun, so we'll see what we can do. And then last shop of the turn, we find a Spellweaver, and with a ball, an Aeon, and a fork, I think we've got to pick up some more mages here. So I'm going to sell off my 2 benched characters and pick up that Spellweaver. I'm not super inclined to care about this Polywoggle. If it slays and turns into something sweet, but when it gets attacked into here and dies, I think I'm just going to wind up giving up on the Polywoggle Dream. We take a little bit of damage this turn for our greed. We were playing up against the lobby leader too, but now I think I'm just going to go all in on this Hatball strat. Well, I'm going to at least think about the Polywoggle for another second, as we are playing up against the Ghost, but we get to have Aeons, we also get to have a Hercules online, and we just have a bunch of different irons cooking in the fire right now, so we're looking pretty good. We'll end the turn off by casting a Genie's Wish, and then we'll pick up this Golden Chicken to round things out. And I do wind up, I guess, keeping Polywoggle in that first position for a moment. Like I said, we're up against the Ghost. I'm not super concerned with how this is going to go. And on 5.2, up against the Ghost, I think we can try one more shot. I do really want to get these Slays in with Aeon, so it is a little bit greedy, but if it turns into something sweet, obviously it would be awesome to have that as well. Unfortunately, oh wow, okay, I'm sorry, I totally forgot about that. Polywoggle does slay. I don't know if I mentioned this. We're going to be looking at 3 games today, so I'm getting some of those confused a little bit, but that slays and turns into a Princess P, an Empress P for us. So that's pretty cool. We do have some support characters as well with our backline mages, so maybe we will actually be able to make Princess P do some work for us. And then we're just going to wind up casting a whole bunch of spells. Our spells only cost 1 less this turn. We got in 1 slay with Aeon, but hopefully we can get some additional slays in the coming turns. We get to pick up another Spellweaver here, and then we could also dream if we want to. And I don't hate dreaming. We're basically done trying to find treasures off of our Wonder Waddle hero power at this point, so dreaming seems fine. We don't actually dream into anything great, but we do get to turn into King Midas to upgrade our Aeon, and that way this upgraded Aeon is more likely to slay, and then our spells are going to cost 2 less this turn. Just now realizing that the rest of the lobby is on 5.1 and we are up a whole bunch of XP this game as well. So that's pretty silly. We'll pick up another Aeon and then go for some more spells. It's good to have a backup Aeon just in case that first one doesn't work out. Don't really find too much in the way of spells this turn, but we'll end things off with a Genie's Wish. Also, so much happened last turn, didn't even remark on the fact that our Hercules got us a 9th Book of Merlin. So we are really doing at this game just Wonder Waddle things, an insane XP lead that allowed us to have the flexibility to roll into a ball and just get a bunch of crazy things going. We've also got an Empress P that is being supported by 2 different characters, so Empress P is bringing out a bunch of stats in this one. And then we've got an Ashwood Elm that isn't really doing too much, but maybe we will try to replace that down the line, potentially with another Mage. I think even the Empress P we'd potentially like to trade in for a Mage at some point, but we're going to get the Slay with both of our Aeons, which is going to mean that our spells cost 3 less this turn, and we deal some nice damage to the lobby leader. So we're looking good. I'll pick up an upgrade for Madmim just to, I guess, hit the players in the lobby for a little bit more damage. Not sure exactly why I picked that up, but seems fine nonetheless. And like I said, we could potentially decide to replace and put in this Spellweaver at some point. I think that it's not too bad to pick up Spellweaver. It'll grow pretty quickly because we have 3 Madmims, effectively, an upgraded Madmim and then a non-upgraded Madmim. So this Spellweaver is getting plus 4 attack every time I cast a spell. It'll go from and then we're double casting these spells, so it's getting plus 8 attack every spell. Yeah, so that gets out of hand pretty quickly. It's already up to 57. Kind of want to play the Madmim as well because it is a Mage, and then I don't have enough time to fire off this Kidnap. It would have been able to steal a monster book, well, 2 monster books, because it would have been forked, but what can you do? Definitely some interesting decisions in this game. I wasn't sure if I wanted to try to play the good boy. Like, none of my other characters were good, so I didn't really want to try to go the good boy and Princess P route and Empress P rather. Thought it would be better to just try to play as many mages as possible because we do have this 9th Book of Merlin, so kind of just playing into that instead. I'll cast this Evil Twin to pick up another Spellweaver, and then I will Beauty's Influence on Boomhilda. And now we've got some good characters, but what can you do? We do have an interesting shop here because we could sell off the Mad Mim, the Oni Tyrant, and the Golden Chicken to pick up the Scion of the Storm, though because we are King Midas, that would actually mean that we were playing down a unit. So instead, I'm just going to rearrange this board a little bit, that way my ranged characters are attacking a little bit more often here, and I'm just going to lock onto this shop for the turn. We'll pick up the Scion of the Storm. The other play, of course, is that I could have just used the Drink Me potion right now and started to cast more spells this turn, but it's still going to be free next turn. So I'll pick up Scion of the Storm, and then I will start to cast a bunch of spells after we take this Merlin out of the lobby. That's going to be a mighty big Scion, and then we are going to start casting some other things. We'll flip the Oni Tyrant over. Then we've got like feed the Kraken, and we've got to feed some things to the Kraken in order to make some more room in the shop. So I'll wind up feeding both the Golden Chicken and then eventually this Burning Beard as well to the Kraken, because there's no way I'm going to get another unit to play on this board. This board is already so large. I'll spend 5 gold to pick up an Aeon, potentially a waste of gold with that, but I figured, hey, at the very least, it can hit my opponent for a little bit more damage, and that might be something interesting. But then we are going to wind up ending the turn here. A full board of 7 upgraded mages. So we just need 3 of these mages to stick around, and that'll be lethal on my opponent. Hopefully the whole back line. That's basically what we're looking to do. And for that, I think it is totally fine to play a ranged character in slot 1. I was kind of hinting at that earlier, but that winds up making your board a little bit more powerful even so. Let's see, are we going to be able to take out my opponent here? It looks like we will be able to do so. We hit them for 21 damage, a pretty impressive game for a hero that was nerfed recently. Did not feel the nerf at all on that one. Still had no problem finding the crystal ball. There's only really 2 ways to, actually 3, I'm sorry. 3 ways to find crystal ball now on Wonder Waddle. That's going to be runestones, locked chest, and then also noble steed. But there's still a lot of opportunity to find crystal ball on this hero. So we are going to be taking a look at a few games on Wonder Waddle, like I said. In this one, we are starting off with a goat, which is one of the strongest characters that you can pick up early on. Doesn't lead for as much snowball potential as Black Cat, but can obviously still be quite powerful. But I want to pick up a Black Cat here as well, and I'm sorry, and I just did this in a video the other day too, but sometimes I call Kitty Cutpurse Black Cat because it is a black cat, but it's an evil cat here. Yeah, I meant Kitty Cutpurse. There are some sweet things that we can do with that, of course, as we just looked at in the last game. And so I'm always interested in trying to get something done with that. We do get a win, don't get a slay, but now we get to pick up an upgraded copy of Kitty Cutpurse on this one. And I really don't hate taking Crown of Atlas on Wonder Waddle, but I also don't hate taking Secret Stash. If we lose the combat, we are greeding out a little bit here, and we're also playing up against a Jax Giant, which is a little bit hard to beat at this stage of the game, despite the fact that they've got 35 health, but it's actually scarier. That means they lost their first combat, but then they picked up a Forbidden Fruit, and now they could have just a really, really insane board. So Secret Stash will give us some additional gold into next turn, and a little bit more health to make up for that loss. So not too shabby there. Polywoggle, I really don't hate while we're playing Wonder Waddle. As you saw, we tried to play it last game, and then I'll just go for a Spellweaver here as my last pickup because we are also going to be casting this Candy Rain and a 3/4 ranged unit. Doesn't seem that terrible to me. We've got 2 other Slay characters in the back in the form of the Kitty Cutpurse and the Polywoggle, both that we will try to potentially activate. We did lose some power this turn as well on our Crafty, but because of the extra gold from the Secret Stash, I think we will be able to get back into the game slightly. I should mention that this game and the previous game, as you could tell, were on the previous patch. the last game in this video is going to be on the current patch for people looking for that. We also get the sleigh with our kitty cut purse, not the polywoggle, but the kitty cut purse, so I'll take it. That gives us bonus gold to pick up this blind mouse double into a moon songhorn, which is nice, +1/+1 to everything. Plus, we also now have free spells. I'm just going to try to roll for some tier 2 characters, potentially pick up like a polywoggle or something. Though I could have definitely seen just picking up the Queen of Hearts and potentially the Wicked Witch a few shops ago. Obviously, this works out very, very well for me, getting to pick up a double of Blind Mouse into Forking Rod. And at this point, I probably want to try to pick up a Wizard's Familiar. We're going to be casting a bunch of spells this game. We don't quite have the ball. We have not picked up any tier 3 characters, but Forking Rod is just an insanely powerful treasure, and especially combined with just a little bit of discount action there. So definitely excited to pick up that one. I'll go for a double magic research on my kitty cut purse, just because it is obviously pretty great to grab some additional stats on that character and start trying to slay and just grab some additional gold. I really consider picking up the Wicked Witch again, and picking up some tier 3 characters could certainly be good. However, this is my last turn on level 3. Let me just make sure that doesn't happen again with the camera. Great. This is my last turn on level 3. We're on 3.2. And because of that, I'd really like to try to find some more level 2 animals while they're still a little bit more common in the shop. So wind up rolling, we pick up a golden chicken, nothing super impressive, but we could have potentially found our Wizard's Familiar there. Not going to be able to, but we will be able to this turn. We'll pick up a polywoggle and a Wizard's Familiar. Don't really love any of these tier 2 treasures, and we're about to see another, so not gonna go for it, but I am definitely going to pick up Merlin's Slippers, now referred to as Big Book of Spells. That will allow us to double True Love's Kiss on this Time Flies and grab an Empress P. Now, Empress P doesn't look super impressive on this board, but what we could do here is sell off both of our Blind Mice and our Golden Chicken and pick up Sporko, which I was already considering picking up because we've got this Polywoggle that I want to be able to have slay. And so getting the support character as well for the Empress P I think is pretty good. And basically what I'm going to try to do with these Merlin Slippers, now seeing 2 spells a shop, is hope that we can find another True Love's Kiss. We're going to be really strong this turn with having our Empress P die and getting that Polywoggle Slay. That gives me a Lancelot, which is already at 25 attack, thanks to the Sporko in the back line, and then I go for a Mix-a-Wizzle. And the reason that I go for the Mix-a-Wizzle on the kitty cut purse is because then I am hoping that we can True Love's Kiss it in the same turn. And that would be really sweet. I am going to pick up another Wizard's Familiar before we get there. And then we see Noble Steed, which we could potentially use to grab a tier 6 treasure out of Lancelot. Definitely a good contender there, but I just wanted to try to roll a little bit more to potentially find the True Love's Kiss this turn and grab another upgraded tier 6 character. We're going to be able to grab an upgraded Good Boy shortly after that, and then I roll and don't grab the True Love's Kiss in time. I was so close. I really wanted to use that True Love's Kiss on the Good Boy, grab a permanent upgraded character, but I just barely ran out of time. Super unfortunate. And I sold off the Sporko, so I also don't grab the treasure off of Lancelot, but we get to do it again here. We get to Mix-a-Wizzle into True Love's Kiss, which gives me an upgraded Doom Breath on 4.2. So pretty cool stuff here regardless. I actually don't mind the fact that we didn't activate Lancelot, because I really like this treasure selection, having the cheaper spells, having the Forking Rod, and then having more spells. all are very good in combination with each other. And I don't really know that I want to replace anything for a tier 5 treasure. For a tier 6 treasure, for sure, we could potentially replace like the Moonsong Horn with a Wand of Weirding or with a Pandora's Box or something, and then try to find like an Aeon down the line. But for now, I was totally fine hanging on to these 3 treasures. Unfortunate that we didn't get to True Love's Kiss, that good boy, last turn, but now we've got an upgraded Doom Breath. That should be pretty good for us. We are going to have Lancelot grab the Slay, but it doesn't stick around, so that's actually good for us. That means we get to spend one more turn with this treasure selection. And I'm going to pick up Spellweaver, just like picking up Mages, because we have all of these Mage-related spells. And I'm going to find a Crystal Ball. I would have really loved to toss the Moonsong Horn and keep these Hermes Magic Slippers, now Big Book of Spells, and potentially find an Aeon down the line. But of course, I am not going to pass up a turn of Hatball in here. That just seems way too sweet to do. So we'll go for that. We'll cast a few spells and we'll end this Kitty Cup Purse, grab some additional gold here off the lucky coin, and then finish things off with a Genie's Wish and a roll into double Spellweaver. So we'll pick up one of those and lock the other one for next turn, but we're doing pretty fantastically at this point in the game, I do have to say. I do think we're going to wind up skipping this treasure on Lancelot just because there's not really mage treasures on tier 5, but Doom Breath is absolutely insane. That grabs a 3-for-1. Lance trades with another large unit, and then we take out the Cursed King. And now we get to pick up another Spellweaver and just totally go off for the turn. Like I said, skipping on that treasure is pretty straightforward. And then we're going to roll pick up another Spellweaver, pick up the Merlin's Hat to replace the Moonsong Horn, and we are officially and fully hat ballin'. I'll flip over the Lancelot. We will feed something to the Kraken. I'll just feed the Court Wizard to the Kraken. We actually break even on gold with that because we've got the Forking Rod. I'll pick up the Golden Chicken, skip the treasure, and then cast a few more spells to end things out. But really, really insane game that we were able to kind of go at it backwards. We found the Forking Rod first, then we found a little bit of a discount, then we found the Crystal Ball, and then we found the hat, of course. So that is going to make this game extremely, extremely powerful for us. This Doom Breath also doing a whole bunch of work. We found that without even the need for Crystal Ball, and we are going to wind up taking out this Galahad as well, and that gives us 6 bonus gold off of our Reckless Wager. So we'll use some of that to pick up a Wizard's Familiar, and some of that to cast a few more spells. We'll flip our Doom Breath into a Lordy. Not sure exactly what we're going to do with that one. Probably just cut it or feed it to a Kraken or something, but we've got a Lordy for the time being. Could have seen going for a Dream spell there. I don't think that would have been too terrible, but I'm glad that I kept rolling. That allows us to find an Aeon. Then we will sell off the Lordy to pick up this Wizard's Familiar triple, skip the treasure, so that way we can cast just a few more spells this turn, start having this Aeon trying to slay. And by a few more spells, I mean we actually get a lot done this turn. So I'm really, really glad we did not dream, because we get to find an upgraded Sign of the Storm. We get to cast a few more spells. We even get to double Kidnap to finish things off. Okay, I go for a double Genie's Wish at the end there. Wind up taking some damage, but I didn't need to steal some dwarves anyways, and Genie's Wish added a little bit more stats to the board. And then we take out the Fates with a ton of upgraded mages. An absolutely insane board that we have here. I don't know how we got that Aeon. I guess the Genie's Wish hit a... No, I don't know. The Genie's Wish hit an Evil Twin on our Aeon. Wow, okay. So that's pretty crazy stuff. And now we've got the finals to go, and I am going to sell off the Aeon in my hand to cast one more spell. That might have been a little bit hasty, but I figured I wanted to be as strong as we possibly could for the final fight. Make sure I'm grabbing those slays and continuing to just rock my opponents. We cannot take out this Evella here, though, just yet. So, like I said, might have been a little bit hasty. We're going to need at least 2 combats to take this Evella down. But really, really insane stuff on Wonder Waddle. Again, this is the previous patch. Next game, we're going to look at a game on this patch. But this is like just recently nerfed Wonder Waddle and still just an insanely powerful hero. We see that Evella is doing Evella things. They've got double Bear Stain and a Pumpkin Squad, so a really cool Evella board, but they're going to need a ton of scam to take out these massive mages that we got going on, and we take out their Medusa, we take out everything else they got going on, and we hit them for almost the full amount of damage, 24. Which is basically the full amount that our board right now can do. So really, really good stuff. We'll cast a few more spells on Aeon primarily just to grab those slays, even though Aeon is probably not sticking around. And then I'll roll the die, feed our Wicked Witch to the Kraken, and just cast a few more spells on Aeon to round things out. I'll also cast a, what is that called? True Love's Kiss onto a Wizard's Familiar, just because that could potentially turn into like a ranged character or something interesting like that. And then we will finish things off with a Kidnap spell. And interestingly, I've seen this bug twice now where a spell just winds up in the middle of your board for a second, but I don't know, what can you do? It's not a huge impact on the game, just kind of silly, but I think 93% chance to win the previous combat. I think we're still going to be okay on this one, and it looks like we will be. My opponent did backline their Medusa this time, which is definitely going to be a little bit stronger. That will, get at least 1 attack for them, potentially. Though, if we can attack into it here, okay. Though, yeah, now the other tree has to attack. They had a few backline trees, which was a little bit unlucky for them. Regardless, though, they're not going to have enough to get through my entire squad, and we are going to be able to take them out. So, this time, we were able to grab the Crystal Ball and the Merlin's Hat, both from Spellweaver triples. Pretty insane stuff. But, yeah, still, Wonder Waddle did a lot of stuff that game just with his or her or its hero power as well. Grabbed us the Forking Rod and the Moon Songhorn. I believe both of those were from Blind Mice triples. Either way, really, really insane Wonder Waddle game. And we're going to take a look at one more Wonder Waddle game here, this time with the new patch and picking up an early Cinderella. Not too much else in the way of animals, but Cinderella plus Genie's Wish is a totally respectable pickup because that gets you halfway to completing your Cinderella. Like I said, I typically don't try to activate Cindy on Wonder Waddle, but it can actually have some pretty good uses. Specifically, if you are able to find a noble steed, then that gives you a look at a tier 3 treasure, which could potentially be Crystal Ball or something. So we'll see what we are able to make happen here. Here we get to pick up a Wizard's Familiar and a free roll, which ticks down Cindy and gives our Wizard's Familiar +1/+1. And then we are just looking for some more animals, and the only animal that we find is this Rainbow Unicorn. Not super exciting. You'll notice that I have not played a Rainbow Unicorn in any of the games up to this point. It's just the only animal that we got. Definitely not the most powerful start on Wonder Waddle, especially compared to our previous 2 games, but it's Wonder Waddle week, so we're doing a triple Wonder Waddle game with this one, and Mix-a-Wizzle we could use on the Cinderella right here, though we could also just try to spend our gold a little bit better. I'm not in need of a tier 2 treasure. We're gonna be able to get tier 2 treasures easy enough, but one thing that I would be interested in is a tier 3 treasure. So we wind up picking up the Noble Steed. Like I said, that's really cool with Wonder Waddle specifically, because Noble Steed you can grab access to a little bit earlier, and then unfortunately we don't find the hat or the ball, but we do find Fancy Pants, which I can use to give +3/+3 to Brave Princess, which can also potentially grab us a high tier treasure. It is a little bit awkward that now Brave Princess gets us a tier 4 treasure, though what we could potentially do is grab 2 other treasures in the meantime and replace the Noble Steed, so that way we don't actually have to pick it up as one of our treasures. And so to potentially do that, I do consider the XP spell, especially with the Noble Steed, it's good to have XP, but I'm just going to pick up the 2 animals in the shop. One of these characters is already an animal in the Kitty Cup purse, and giving that +3/+3 is really cool. And then Lonely Prince, not really an animal yet, but will be an animal when we pick up another royal. And basically, like I said, the idea here is that if we grab some other treasures, we might be able to replace the Noble Steed and grab another look at a tier 3 treasure, which would be really cool potentially to find Crystal Ball in that capacity. We'll see. We are almost looking to slay with the Brave Princess right here and now, though it is going to go down to my opponent's Brave Princess. So we do have some time. I'll pick up a Wizard's Familiar. That'll give us a large 7/7. I do note there that I probably should have considered picking up the Spellweaver first, because then it could have gotten the Fancy Pants bonus, but I'm going to take Runestones instead, and then I'm going to look to try to triple one of my other tier 2 animals, or double my other tier 2 animals. That's going to give me Merlin's Hat, and the timing on this is a little bit awkward because I'm probably going to slay with Brave Princess this turn. I don't want to not play the Brave Princess because then I'm just going to be way too weak. One thing that I could have done is put Brave Princess in like slot 4, so that way it was less likely to slay. And then I could have tried to slay with it next turn and grabbed a tier 3 treasure out of that. So that would have been one way to play this, but at the same time, I don't hate potentially like a look at Forking Rod or something like that. And we can see I still take an absolute ton of damage here. We're going to wind up picking up Moonsong Horn and just having slightly cheaper spells with our pair of Wizard's Familiars. It's not the best start, but ultimately I think that it is going to serve us well and just allow us to cast a bunch more spells for the rest of the game. That gives us a Court Wizard, which is pretty nice, an upgraded Court Wizard. We have 2 Royals at the moment. We'll potentially pick up some more Royals. I also don't hate Lightning Dragon just as a character, but I really, really like getting to pick up what is that, 19 worth of stats there in the form of the Gingerbread Knight, because that also flips over our Frog Prince. So that's pretty cool. And then I'm going to pick up a Spellweaver, roll, and lock into another Spellweaver. Main reason picking up Spellweavers, all of my spells are cheap. I'm only casting 1 spell each turn, but I'm probably going to be casting a spell each turn. And I'd potentially like to triple these Spellweavers into a Crystal Ball like we did last game. Thought that might have been good for us. We do get some bonus attacks from the Court Wizard, and that's going to be enough to take out this Celestial Tiger. And then we'll pick up the second of these Spellweavers and try to cast some spells here just to maintain a little bit of an advantage on the board. I'd also potentially like to pick up another Royal in the form of this Gingerbread Knight. That'll be nice, just because, like I said, it is a bunch of stats on the board. And then we're kind of in an awkward space because I have not cast a spell yet this turn, and I have all of these mages, so I really think that I should be casting spells. So I wind up casting this Forbidden Fruit, which puts me down to 10 health, but allows me to roll one more time and lock onto a pair of animals, as well as the End XP spell. So I like the End well enough here. And then we've already used Runestones. We could potentially find a locked chest as a tier 2 treasure, though we could also find Big Book of Spells maybe, or something like that. That could be okay for us. We are going to get some bonus attacks here from our Court Wizard, so that's pretty nice. That'll allow us to clean up this board and defeat Goldilocks. And then I will the end on Cindy. Even though that is a Royal, I think it's good to the end her. It wasn't working because I lost connection for a second, but then we'll get it off, and that puts us back up to 12 health, and then I'm going to go ahead and pick up these other tier 2 animals, and we'll take a skipping stone and a kitty cup purse, replacing that skipping stone for a spinning wheel, and that puts us up to almost level 6 on this turn, which is pretty good. A pretty big XP bonus, all just in one turn there. I still potentially would like to find Crystal Ball, though it's definitely getting to the point where it is almost too late to do so. So potentially not going to go super crazy looking for that. We'll pick up a Blind Mouse because we are still Wonder Waddle. And then I'm going to lock onto a Spellweaver here, because why not? There is also the opportunity to True Love's Kiss something. We could True Love's Kiss the Aeon. We could also just pick up the Aeon if we happen to get lucky enough and find a Crystal Ball. I don't think it is the earliest point in the game, and this is definitely like the slowest ball out of my 3 games, trying to force it a little bit, but we still have a little bit of health to play with. 9 health, probably can't lose another combat, but we triple the Spellweavers and find the Crystal Ball. So we'll make it work. We'll figure out something here. I'm going to pick up the Wizard's Familiar, and then I'm going to go for the True Love's Kiss on the Kitty Cup Purse, because we really aren't using that character for too much longer at this point. One cool thing to point out here is that Court Wizard is a mage. Sometimes that is forgotten about, but it is a mage character, so Aeon can pump up the Court Wizard, and that'll give us a little bit of additional stats onto this board. I'm going to go ahead and lock onto another Aeon plus a Feed the Kraken, more so locking for the Feed the Kraken, but we'll lock for the Aeon as well, and hopefully we will be able to start balling and turn some things around here, because we cannot really afford to lose another one, but I think that we are quite strong. We can see this Mad Catter also has picked up a ton of XP this game, but that means that they're not that strong because they've spent a bunch of gold picking up XP, and we have not really. We got all of our XP basically for free. 2 of it from a treasure, and then 1 of it from a spell that cost us nothing. Opportunity cost, of course, but we'll pick up the Aeon. Then we have to decide what to feed the Kraken to, and I don't know if I should feed the Blind Mouse or the Gingerbread Knight, so I just wind up picking up something else from the shop and feeding that to the Kraken instead. Then I'm going to True Love's Kiss this Court Wizard. That gives me a Lancelot, which gives me a tier 6 treasure. I knew I grabbed a tier 6 treasure out of a Lancelot at some point in this video. And then I'll go for a Drink Me potion before casting a few more spells. Now I've got to feed something that can give us a tier 4 treasure to the Kraken, but we're going to be grabbing a tier 6 treasure next turn, so I'm not as inclined to care about the tier 4 treasure at this point. We'll put a little bit more stats on Lancelot and finish off with an Earthquake. And then we'll cut the Gingerbread Knight because our Wizard's Familiar is bigger at this point, but I still liked hanging on to the Gingerbread Knights because could potentially build into that tier 4 treasure, but because we're not even playing the Gingerbread Knights at this point, I should have cut them and fed that to the Kraken because it's cheaper to buy a Blind Mouse. We are going to win this combat against Skip, and that'll give us our tier 6 treasure. And we have 3 really good options: Pandora's Box, Phoenix Feather, but of course, we've got to take the 9th book of Merlin. That is how you get crazy in the end game with Wonder Waddle. We are playing 6 mages at the current moment, and we can replace this Lancelot with a mage in due time. Then I wind up picking up the Gingerbread Knight. I debate it for a little bit, but ultimately decide to do so on the basis that we have Aeon making our spells cheaper, and so I would replace my Merlin's hat with a Forking Rod if it were to present itself. We don't get lucky enough to find that though, but we'll wind up just casting a few more spells and then actually finding an Aeon this turn. So going to be skipping on this Aeon treasure. That really didn't have anything for me. And then I'll cast a Lucky Coin and a Shrivel to finish things off after picking up another Blind Mouse. And I'm not done. I'm going to find that Forking Rod yet because we are still Wonder Waddle. Shrivel takes out their Lady of the Lake, and then looks like, I don't know what this is showing me right now on the board, that my opponent is on level 5 with full XP, but I have to imagine that just means that they're level 6. And that's the point of the lobby that we are at right now. But Either way, we are on to the top 5 of this game. I'm going to triple another Wizard's Familiar, skipping on that treasure, of course, and then pick up a Golden Chicken and a Spellweaver, and I'm hoping that those will be our last units, but, well, we do still need one more unit, rather, because we only have 6 mages, if you count the Spellweaver. So I'll wind up picking up a Scion of the Storm as well. That'll be our last unit, and then I am going to continue to play the Lancelot for this turn, I believe, because this Spellweaver is still pretty tiny. So I think I will make that change before the end. It's actually not that horrible just to play the Spellweaver, because it will get scaling from the 9th Book of Merlin, and then it will also cast a spell from the 9th Book of Merlin, so maybe I keep it. Okay, I keep it. It's just like another monster book, so why not? We are going to get our Scion of the Storm Pigomorphed, so that is a little bit awkward, but we're going to have more than enough stats to win here with our ranged characters and all of our spells that we are casting. It is a little bit close, but we do wind up getting the win there. Yeah, I guess that was a little bit closer than I remember. We'll take a look. 98% to win that combat, though. I thought like we were pretty strong there. Don't pick up another Scion of the Storm. I think we are good on characters here, and then I will flip over my Lancelot into, excuse me, a Rotten Applewood. I don't remember if I pick up the Scion of the Storm or not. Okay, I thought that I did. I don't think that I should have, though, because we did already have 7 mages. The only way that this really benefits us is now if we triple Scion of the Storm, but that's just a ton of gold to put into that character, so that part is a little bit awkward. I'll wind up casting a few more spells here, including a True Love's Kiss on Lordy, and then a Feed the Kraken on Lordy, a True Love's Kiss onto the Rotten Applewood, rather. Then I'll Kidnap as the timer ticks down, and we do not steal the upgraded Good Boy, but it doesn't really matter because we don't have any good characters on the board, and we're also already kind of killing it. We've got enough characters. We didn't really need the Kidnap, I just took it to take it, and then we will take the Fates out and potentially move on to the finals here up against Conquer, playing Goldilocks, and we've beaten them every time up until this point, but we'll see if we still have enough stats to take them down here in the finals. We only get to cast a few more spells on this final turn, but we'll still add some more power to the board nonetheless, and then I will dream into Morgan Le Fay, which is really the only character that got us some stats there. I guess Mordred also could have been a good choice. I wound up taking Wand of Weirding because I know that there's still going to be another combat after this. Maybe could have just taken Spear to grab a little bit more stats, but I think we're going to be fine either way. We've got a ton of stats from all of our mages and stuff, so this Goldilocks would need quite a powerful board in order to come back into this one, but they do. Upgraded Good Boy, upgraded Empress P, which we scam, which is really good, but they also have a Horn of Olympus, and despite scamming 2 of their Empress Ps, they just have way too large of units in the backline, so they are going to find the win just barely and take us out. Really, really close one to end things out there, but a really good showing overall, I felt, for Wonder Waddle. So that is going to be it for me today. Thank you guys very much for watching. I'm NoLucksGiven. Peace.